Okay, so we will just start.
Yeah, of course.
How do you want to go about this? You
I have
want
no idea. I don't know. You're the host, not me.
ah. So okay, so I'm finally starting the podcast or the content creation journey thanks to my friend here, Ali, who forced me literally to turn on the record button and
Yeah.
yeah, and also forced me to record one more demo video earlier this year. And we made some progress and finally recording a full podcast. Uh, are you happy?
Yeah, of course. Are you?
Nervous?
Yeah.
And I will let him decide, sorry, give his introduction because it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we'll keep it short. Yeah, so my name is Ali. I am a PhD in electrical engineering. I work on systems, mostly space communication systems. That's probably about like 40% of 50% of what I do. The other 50% is I run a company called Next Level Systems. And what we do is we help entrepreneurs build systems to scale their businesses. And yeah, I also run a YouTube channel where I have around 18,000 subscribers, mostly engineering students. It's an engineering centric YouTube channel. And the goal of that is to basically nurture engineering talent worldwide and inspire the next generation of engineers, and also recruit engineering talent for my company as well. So I think that pretty much sums it up.
So, you do have one more YouTube channel.
Yes, I have another YouTube channel under my name, Ali Alqaraghuli, and that one is right now is just basically some client testimonials and me on a lake in Slovenia telling people to like take a break from work once in a while. But soon enough, I'll probably be making more business content there as well.
You should give credit to me. I made you post that video.
Yeah, I agree. I was probably not going to post it. Um, which by the way, have you taken your vacation yet? You did, right? You ended up
Yeah,
going?
I did. I did. It was a small one. A big one is coming again.
Okay, cool,
Right?
cool.
Oh, so thanks for manipulating me to take vacations again and again.
Yeah, of course. I think it helps. It's gonna help you make more money.
True. Okay, how do we go from there? I think we can just start by doing our normal conversations and see how it flows.
Sure. Yeah. Do you have any like questions from the top of your mind to
How you are
get
so
going?
relaxed all the time? That's my first question.
Oh, I don't know if I'm relaxed all the time. I think I'm. Uh, I guess I am more relaxed on average than the like stressed out entrepreneur. Um, I really don't know how to answer that.
Okay,
I
I
think
will.
it's a. I think it's a habit. You know.
Hmm. Okay, I will answer that for you. I
Sure.
think the reason Ali is more relaxed is he's a fun person, to be honest, and the way like we are meeting twice every week. I think from the start of this year, like around the start of this
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
year. Yeah.
Like
So
on and off.
on and off, but mostly twice a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing that I noticed about you was like obviously you are always very relaxed about whatever happens in your business. So you changed me quite a lot throughout this year. Like when I started, I was like a very pathetic person.
Oh, come on, don't say that.
But like you changed my attitude towards business. I wouldn't say towards life, but towards life a little bit, but towards
Yeah.
business a lot. And there was a point when you were like very worried about everything that the about business and everything. I mean, you weren't worried, but like you were somewhat worried that should I run ads? Should I go on LinkedIn campaign and everything? You were
Right,
worried
right.
about a lot of things. And then one day you just came on the call and said, you know what, Pasha, what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a vacation.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like when I go on vacations, I like take a notebook and a pen, and it's not really a vacation to just go and it was like an intentional, like when you get really really stuck and you go for a walk and then you get the insight. This was just like a very dramatic walk, you know. It's like,
Oh, near
right.
a castle. I don't, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was really cool. Yeah, so I went to Europe for 3 weeks and I just toured, I think like 10 or 11 countries. And yeah, I was just hopping around. And yes, there was one castle in the middle of a lake in Slovenia, and a lake called Bled, where I got really good clarity and insight on what I want to do. And I came back and I started putting things into action. So yeah, I'm really a big advocate of like if you're feeling like really really lost, stuck, you don't know what to do, like changing your environment even briefly, even for a weekend, and like removing all the variables and keeping the only variable, which is you, like your mind, your thoughts, and preferably taking a notebook of some sort, and just I think you'll get some fresh insight.
Tell me something about your notebook. Like all the time, even if we are having normal, casual conversations, we are just chilling and like having fun, and you will still take
Yeah.
notes about the things that was.
Yeah, as yeah, yeah. I think there's a habit I picked up probably in undergrad. Like if I hear something that really resonates, I write it down and I take a look at it later because if we're in the middle of a conversation and you mention something that I want to look more into, but it's not like in the direction of where the conversation goes, I don't want to partition like 40% of my brain to think about that. Like I'd rather give you the full attention. So I just write it down to like look into it later. Sometimes I never end up looking into it. The very act of writing it down registers it in my brain somewhere, you know? Yeah, but yeah, I think, but I mean, it's also because I come from a writing background in general. Like when I was in high school, middle school, and most of undergrad, I was a writer, so I'd write a lot. I'd write stories. I'd write like I even wrote a book for electrical engineering. So I think just the very act of writing is something I've been cultivating for like I don't know more than 10 years. So
Uh, you always make me feel so incompetent.
oh come on, there's a lot of things you do better than I do, you know.
Like,
I think you're a better salesman.
well, there's a point that comes to my mind right now. I will not go into that.
Okay.
That's kind of off-camera conversation.
Uh-huh. Well, like
But
saleswoman. I think you're quite good at sales.
yeah, other than that, it's everything I'm bad at, right?
No, I think I mean, you're pretty good at like curating content, like figuring out what works, what doesn't work, and you have a business around that. So I would hope you're good at it. You know. Um,
So you're hoping I'm good at it.
no, I know you're good at it because you have a lot of clients and they get results. And you even edited one of my videos, and it was pretty badass. You know.
Yeah, I will probably give a link to that if it's possible when I create the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Okay, we are recording this podcast and I don't have a name for it yet. So you and me have need to have a conversation about that later.
Okay. Sure.
Okay, great. So yeah, I will just give everyone an insight about your before and after that vacation that you took. So you were like, we were having like 3 to 5 conversation. So we were meeting 2 times a week. So for 2 weeks around, uh, you and me, both of us were meeting, and we are just getting depressed together.
Yeah, I'd say we were both just very stuck.
Very stuck.
Stuck, indecisive, uncertain. Yeah.
Yeah. And you took a vacation, and in that time period, I also took like a small vacation with my grandmother, and my brother, and
Hmm.
it was really nice. Even that 2 days was just really good, and I got a lot of the things done. And you were making me jealous all the time because even before going to the vacation, you shared me all of the pictures of the castle that you were going
Oh
to
yeah. Sure, sure.
you were going to sit beside, and also the festival. And then you just stopped communicating with me, which was like really bad. uh,
Yeah.
No, on the vacation after coming back.
Right.
I was hoping that I would see certain parts of Europe through you, but you didn't, which is bad.
Yeah, I probably spent like a lot less time on my phone the
Yeah,
second half of the trip, which was good, you know?
yeah, I'm really glad that you did. I'm really glad that you did. It was really
Hmm.
needed. But I'm also glad that you recorded that video and a couple of other videos that to remind you.
Yeah.
So just giving the before and after, like after coming back from there, you just went like on pro Excel from mode. You just went on and did everything, and
Yeah.
really says, and your mindset were like it was so much fun. And after talking to you with that mindset, like when you were in that energy, like I changed a lot after your vacation. So it was
Yeah.
kind of thank you for the vacation.
Yeah, that's one thing that I mean I have a lot of conversations about this with my entrepreneur friends is like there's a lot of people that are just like only going after money, and you see them in the comments. What business should I get into? What do I do? What like how do I make the most money in a short period of time? How do I scale to I don't know 6, 7, 8, 9 figures, even though I have no idea what I'm going to do with the money? Like, and I like that's not how I think. Like I'm always thinking, how do I obviously the money aspect is important. Growing the business is I mean the business by its very nature exists to make money, but I'm always asking myself, how do I make this fun? How can I make this enjoyable? Because I know that if I make it enjoyable, I'll want to do it rather than force myself to do it. And I mean, I'm a big believer in discipline, and I mean, I have an Arnold poster like somewhere in the back there with a pull-up bar in some ways. So I definitely love the idea of like pushing yourself to do things. But I really think that if you're not like at least interested or curious about the thing that you're doing, you're gonna run into someone like me who loves what he's doing and is willing to put in way more hours, way more time, like obsess about it. I mean, I'll give you a very funny story. I just moved from Boston to Rochester, and when I was in Boston sometime in February, I met a girl that I really liked, and initially I would only talk to her about my business and my YouTube channel and things like that, and I tried to recruit her as a business partner, and she was I think only interested in like getting to know each other or whatnot, and then we stopped talking, and then later I started talking to her again over the summer, and this time I tried to get her to work for me because I had this project that was going on and things didn't work out either. So and that's just a function of the fact that like all I think about is this kind of stuff. So I really think the people who are only in it for the money, um, like eventually you'll hit a roadblock and you're not really gonna like there has to be some element of fun in my opinion. Otherwise you're not gonna go like very far.
Yeah, I remember that story. I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah. It's yeah, I need to stop doing that. I need to like be normal around people, you
I
know?
told you, I told you, I told you when you were recruiting that girl, I told you not to do that, but you don't
Yeah,
take
but
it.
like the alternative is like what? You just like go on dates and then like you talk about stuff that I like you don't want to talk about. And then like maybe later on in life that's nice, but like right now I feel like it's either we do something together or like what's the point, you know?
True. Okay, that's one thing. I just remember something. Oh,
What?
tell me about that story where that mastermind, that Dubai mastermind thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I went to William Brown's 10 mil mastermind. I think
I
that
didn't
was April.
expected you to take a name right away, but okay.
I mean, I love that mastermind. I would have gone. The second one right now is in October. But I would have loved to go honestly. But right now my bottleneck is not information or people. My bottleneck is just putting my head down and building things for a few months. Yeah, that mastermind was amazing. I met William in person, who was my coach for a few months, and I really learned a lot from that man. He's a brilliant guy. Met a few other entrepreneurs as well, and yeah, it was really nice. I mean, I was one of the like smaller guys in the room. I mean, I think at the time my business was only really making like somewhere between 5, 10K per month. I wasn't really taking it seriously. I was still focusing on my PhD research. I was kind of just going mostly to figure out like what's going on. But I ended up asking a lot of questions, and I just learned so much. And I would advise anyone who's like, if you're still kind of figuring out direction and what to do and want to do things faster, I would definitely urge people to join masterminds. I'm actually going to another mastermind next week. This one's in North Carolina, with different guys, and again, I'm mostly going in just to get to know the people and just to kind of see like who's doing what. Obviously, the goal is to learn some things as well. But for me, the priority is always the people. If the people don't seem interesting, I'm probably not going to the mastermind, you know?
True, but you didn't share the whole story. But this is something I will share about you. You like
Yeah, sure.
and you value connections,
Yeah, of course.
you value humans a lot, to be
Of
honest.
course.
Human beings.
I love humans.
So I was just saying that you value, and that's one of the reason that we stayed connected as well, because
Hmm.
we connected on a very different note. We weren't supposed to meet every week. We weren't supposed to like keep accountable to each other about things, but it's because of that one trait of yours of valuing human connection. Uh, you know, we we did something good. So that's one thing about you. But the only thing I wanted to share about the Why Mastermind is that story that inspired me, which you did
Hmm.
share. That you shared all of the people in that mastermind were
Hmm.
like making 700K, 500K, 200K a month, and I'm talking about
Hmm.
weeks. Uh,
Yeah.
and you said you were making like 11K at that month.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And you said that you were the person who was asking questions and looking at other guys and thinking you are the smartest person. Which
Well,
was,
I think everyone's smart in their own right, but I did think there were some areas where like I would look and I would say, wow, I'm actually more talented at this specific area.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and I mean I think this is true for anything. Like people who are ahead of you down the road, most of the time are not more talented or more intelligent or they've just been doing the thing longer and they're working harder than you. And I think that's a like I think this is a psychological bias we have as humans. We tend to be hierarchical in our thinking. We always put things in hierarchies, especially with people, because we're playing. I think we're like inherently, like biologically playing status games. So one can really immediately fall into the trap of thinking, "Oh, this person's making 1 million per month. I'm making nothing. They are naturally more talented or more or smarter or whatnot." Most in some cases that definitely could be the case, but I think majority of the time they've just been working harder for longer and they probably have resources that you don't have. Not saying these resources were given to them, they probably had to go and search for it and find it, whatnot. But yeah, I really think people should not just like if you're watching this and you're not making any money or you're making very little, when you find yourself in a group of people who are making a lot of money, I would obviously be interested in learning as much from them as possible. That's why I would ask all the questions I have possible. But I would strongly urge you to ask these questions with confidence, knowing that once you do have the right information, and assuming that that's even the thing that you want to do, then you'll go ahead and do it. Like for example, someone who's making 1 million per month, and let's say you're making only 10, 20K per month, it could be that for them, that offer or business that they're going after is their entire lives and is everything that you're obsessing over. But for you, it could be that you're just doing it part time and you just want to make some money on the side, and you actually rather spend your time doing something else. That's totally fine too. You just have to know deep down what you want. And this is something I've been notorious about in our conversations and a lot of our conversations with my friends. Like I always like refocus back to what do you want? What do you want? Like what do you like you're gonna die soon. What do you want this life to look like for you? And majority of the time people come to realization of, oh, I don't even want to scale. I hate this business. I don't even want to scale it, you know?
yeah,
So I think that's very important, you know?
that's just the way I felt last year. when I was not in content, I was doing marketing. I'm so glad I had to change my career direction, and I'm finally focusing on something that I love.
Yeah, absolutely. And
True.
and it makes a big difference, right? When you don't have to love it. You just have to be interested in it. You have to be curious
True.
about it. You if that element is completely gone, and I get it. Some people like business for the sole act of business itself. But even these people probably still have a preferred audience, a preferred clientele, a preferred, like, I still think it's not true that they would go into like any business, and equally enjoy it as something that relates to something that they do, you know?
True.
Yeah. But that's just me, and I could be wrong, you know?
No, I feel like it's just perspectives we share. Like, I don't know if we are qualified enough to decide which is right or wrong.
Yeah, no, there is no right or wrong. There's only what you want, you know?
Again,
But I think, but I think it's hard to know what's right. I think it's easier to tell what's wrong. Like, what's wrong can sometimes be a bit general, you know?
mm, true. How we are always getting silenced after any sentence or any conversation. Normally, when we talk, we are just continuing for conversation. Maybe we are just too conscious about recording.
Think so?
I am.
I mean, how's your day? I think
Pretty
I, I
good.
think I think I think usually things flow because our conversations are probably like 20-30%, um not necessarily personal, but like things of just like popping on in your mind. Whereas I think maybe in a setting like this, you're probably trying to say things that may add value to someone else or maybe relevant to someone else, you know?
True.
Um, I could tell you what workouts I did in the gym. I'm pretty confident most people like are not interested in hearing about that, you know?
Ah, true. But yeah, there's what should we talk about?
Well, like one thing I think worth talking about is how like everything is intertwined. Like you mentioned that you used to do some type of marketing business, and now you are doing content business. And so there's always the conversation of like the habits and the character traits and the personality attributes that you need to develop as an entrepreneur. Um, but I think that is also influenced by how enjoyable a thing that you do is. For example, like there's the uh, like uh, like discipline, for example, something is very simple. Usually that's the bottleneck of majority of people starting out. But I would argue that like discipline, like the harder discipline is, the less enjoyable like or interesting what you're doing is. So I think it is there's a correlation there. It's not like, oh, this is this disciplined person, he or she are gonna do like no matter what. I think especially starting out, if you want to have more discipline, like pick an area or work in an area that is more interesting to you, because then you'll want to do the work. Obviously, there'll still be many days where you don't feel like doing it and you still need schedules and systems. And I have an entire business around that because I think it's important. But I think um, you still need like at the very core of it, it has to have like a heart element. It can't just be purely about, oh, this thing like makes money, let me jump on top of it, you know? And I talk about this a lot because when I jump on sales calls with people, especially people just starting out, um, very often it's like, and this comes a lot, especially from SMMA guys. God bless them. A lot of them are like, "Hey man, I just want to make money," and I'm like, "Okay," like, and they're like, "Oh, I think there's this niche that's like, I don't know, construction or something." I'm like, "Okay, well, like, are you interested in construction?" I'd be like, "No," but someone said it's like hot right now. And like that always like makes me think like why, like you live, especially this is especially if you live in the United States, like if you live in the United States or in the Western world, or honestly, if you live in 2023 where you have internet access, like where you can learn anything and get into anything, I would I would definitely start off by what are you curious about? And even if that niche is competitive, just because you are very curious about it will make you more creative and innovative in that field, you know?
True.
I mean, I'm in the most competitive niche. I basically my offer is helping entrepreneurs scale their business.
Mm.
That's like that's like what a lot of people are selling as well. But because I'm coming at it from an entirely different angle, and because I actually enjoy it and I like seeing it work, whatnot, I'd rather do that versus I could probably make 10 times more short term in something like career development or like engineering, selling engineering courses or things that
Yeah.
like directly leverages the skill set and experience I have, you know?
But you're doing what you want
Yeah, exactly. And because I'm doing what I want in the long term, it will make me more money than anything else. But
and
again,
more
I
satisfaction.
100%, because I'll stick with it. You know, I think the stick to itness is very difficult if you are not, again, at least interested or curious about what you do. You know, because why would you? I, and this is like a very debated topic, like the idea of passion or doing what you love or whatnot. Um, I don't think what you love is something that's given to you. I don't think it's something that you wake up one day. Some people, like a small percentage of the population, they are fortunate enough, like Mr. Beast, who's like, I don't know, 12, when he was like, I'm gonna be a YouTuber,
Yeah.
and then they pick that thing early on. Majority of people, you have to pick something that you're interested in, and you run with it for a bit, and you're like, you know what, maybe this is not as cool as I thought, but here's this other thing I just ran into, and then you try that, and you're like, actually this was, and then you run into someone who's like, why don't you do that? And it's this iterative process done repeatedly, which like helps you eventually run into your passion or run into the thing that you're genuinely interested in, you know? And once you find that, then you can run with it for like a very, very long time because you like doing it.
True. And to contradict your thought on that, Iman
Hmm.
Gaj says something like,
Yeah.
uh, people are so obsessed about doing what they love or doing what they're
Hmm.
passionate about, but instead, if they want to make money, they just have to do things which will make them money and do hard things. And combining you and him together, and also I
Hmm.
think Alex Hormozy says the same thing. They are
Sure.
both on the same page on that. But I will also say a contradictory thing to that, that they are not addicted to that business or anything, but they are passionate and they love making money. That's their
Hmm.
game. Like that conversation that you and I was having, that uh I like having money. I like the
Hmm.
game of having money, and the most rewarding game is like I'm doing something and I'm getting so much more out of it, and then I'm buying things that I love. So
Right.
they have fallen in love with that game of business.
Right.
So, like, they don't know it yet, probably, or they know it, but I don't know. They're so much smarter than me. But what I think is they're just passionate about the game of life.
Yeah. Well, like they're like let's say they're passionate about the game of business. They're still choosing vehicles that like they like. For example, I'm pretty confident like acquisition.com scales businesses, right, that are making above some type of revenue. Um, there's a reason for that. One, it is probably the most enjoyable, and I'm just guessing here, probably the most profitable thing, and the opportunity that makes the most sense, like on paper. But there's also that element of someone like Alex or Layla, like they probably genuinely enjoy scaling a business.
Feeling
Like the
this.
very act of let's take a look at this business. Oh, there's some tweaks here. There's some, oh, the acquisition could be better. Oh, your marketing sucks. Let's do that. Like that is fun, and they're very good at it. That's why they're doing it. You know. So I agree. I think like the game itself, but I think like the vehicle at which you play the game,
Mm.
I really still think that matters a lot. You know.
Yeah. True.
I mean, I come from a completely different school of thought. Like I come from engineering and technology background, and like with tech founders or with like the famous tech entrepreneurs, there's this quote by Naval Ravikant I really like, and it says, usually the best companies don't care about market, don't care about like whatnot. Usually they're simply an extension of the founder's personality, and it's more of an art than it is like a thing that you do just to make money. And I really think that's what separates like the Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, the Phil Knight, the people who make it really far, like multi-billionaire status. Uh, None of them do it for the money. They do it because it's an existential thing. It's like you have something that you really want to pursue, and you know life is short and time's running out, and you'd rather really make like a big impact of some sort. That's I mean, who knows? Maybe in my lifetime I'll never be able to build something as big as SpaceX or Tesla or Amazon, but these are definitely the mentors I would choose to adopt over some guy on YouTube that's telling me use this copywriting script so you can like make more money, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah. But again, that's just me, and that's what's fun to me, you know. Whether it works out or not, it doesn't matter because it's all about the journey.
do what makes you the most fun person.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, there's another thing that like another reason you have to find ways to make what you do fun is, and I'm not saying every single day has to be fun. Like there are days where I myself don't want to do anything, but like overall, you have to build a lifestyle and design your life around some elements of fun, because let's say you spend, I don't know, 20 30 years building businesses that you absolutely hate, and you become a billionaire by the time you're 50 or 60 or maybe later. Well, if the journey was not enjoyable, like if you hated every bit of those 20 30 years, well, now you're old, and there's many things that you cannot do, even though you'd give up all that money just to go back and be like young and broke again, you know. So I'm very conscious of that. And I think this is something I read on Twitter, the concept of a time billionaire, where most young people, like especially someone as young as you, like you are a time billionaire. You are richer than a billionaire right now in their 50s, 60s, or 70s. They would trade spots with you right now. They would give you their billions of dollars just to be where you are right now. And to me, that really hits home, because when I realized that, damn, I mean, I'm 26 years old right now, and just yesterday I was 17, and tomorrow I'll be in my 30s, 40s, 50s, and this thing is gonna end, and we don't know what's gonna happen after. Like to me, that's the real motivator to work on something you enjoy or work on something you genuinely believe in, rather than just like pursue money just for the sake of money, if that makes sense, you know.
I think one more thing which is very important and we should talk about is faith. And
Yes. Oh yeah.
and that's one thing that we clicked on the first day we talked
100%.
on,
100%.
that we both were very focused on having faith on something bigger. And it's just so much important for me. I will just start with you and then I will continue the conversation on that.
Yeah. See, like there's different. I've thought about this. I mean, my like this is probably the thing I've thought about my whole life. You know, like the existential thing of like, why are we here? What are we doing? What's the point of doing things? Why are things gonna work out? Are they not gonna work out? And let's say there are two scenarios, like one where you're completely alone in the world, and this is we're just biological robots, and mechanical physics is law only in terms of like there's only cause and effect of things that we know and can control, and we're absolutely certain of everything that we're absolutely certain of. Well, if you go with that like approach, I think you will start to self-destruct very quickly, because there's always going to be the nagging voice in your head, which is like, what is the guarantee that things are going to work out? What? How are you gonna find the right person? Are you gonna find the right job? Are you? And like you have to like from a psychological perspective, the other alternative, which is let's say you put your faith in something, and it could be something arbitrary. Phil Knight, in his book Shoe Dog, when starting Nike, he said, I have faith in faith, faith in faith, like in the concept. He like it's not even a spiritual. Maybe it is, but it sounded like you just have to put faith in something because what is the alternative? The alternative is you just self destruct, you know.
Mm.
So I think it is like if you're an entrepreneur, you will I think you will make more money having faith in something because having faith will push you to take the steps when things are uncertain and you don't know what's going on, you don't know what's going to work out, and that increases the odds of things working out. I don't know if that's like it's probably a slightly different approach to how you think about it, right?
It's mostly similar. But the thing
Okay.
is, everybody treats faith as a illogical thing. I don't know how they do it, but to me, it's
Hmm.
like the most logical thing. It's it's the most logical thing. If you don't
I
have
agree.
faith, it's I don't know, what do you have? What do you have to stick on? Whatever
Yeah.
you are doing, whatever everybody, even like the presidents and the prime ministers are doing, it's everybody is going to forget that in the next 1,000 years, and the thousand
Yeah.
years will pass like in the matter of seconds, and you will die. Your whole generation, like sorry, your upcoming generations also will die, and you will be just not remembered.
Right.
There's literally no point in anything. An asteroid may come and it can just destroy the whole world. So you existing or anybody existing and doing whatever just does not matter. But faith makes you matter.
I agree. I mean, think about it. There's two people fighting. One guy thinks he's entirely on his own. The other guy has the genuine belief and conviction that like the entire universe and the world are on his side. Which one is going to have more confidence? Like assuming equal skill level, you know, like obviously. I agree. I think it's a logical thing, and I get coming from a science background, from like people have this assumption that a good scientist like by default um, would like be and I don't mean it in a religious sense, but a good scientist only looks at observable things when not well. I think a very good scientist will always leave room for doubt and for the possibility that he may be wrong or may not be right, or that there could be something out there. And the example I love to give is, I mean, five like 1,000 years ago, we didn't even know what forces drove objects to move. We didn't even know that electromagnetic radiation existed. You know, we'd see light, we didn't even know what that was. People like very recently would call it the ether. They didn't even know what it was. Like it was, and as we continue to advance, I think it's very important we keep in mind that we have to be humble as humans. Like our brains are smart, but we're not that smart. And there's still a lot to learn, and there's still a lot that we probably cannot sense, cannot detect. So I personally like to be open to the idea that there are things out there that are maybe bigger and that we simply do not understand them. Um, I think being somewhere in the middle of that spectrum, where like you don't know for certain what's going on, uh, but you have some confidence that something is probably going on. I think that's kind of a nice sweet spot. Um, so again, like all that, like really just serves to motivate picking something and having the confidence to take the first step and saying, you know what, I have faith things will be figured out. And if things don't work out, that's okay. I'll probably handle it and bounce back. I think it's usually the fear and the worry and the overthinking and the lack of faith that paralyzes a lot of people from going after what they want, you know?
Very true. And I remember the conversation on our first day, on the first day that we met, is basically I said something that I do have really, really, really big dreams and big things that I want to do. But sometimes I look at myself in the mirror and see you just a tiny thing. What you
Yeah,
what you're going to do. But then when I look away from the mirror and sit quiet and look inside my mind and just think and just have faith that something so much bigger is believing in me and helping me to do something, it
right.
just makes me believe I'm no one, I'm not doing it. Somebody else is doing it. And it just, and there's no, like, then confidence is not a question. You're not putting
Yeah,
you're not having confidence in yourself, you're literally being confident in everything.
yeah, I agree. You're trusting life. You're saying, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna take action and things will be figured out, you know? Like I know things will be figured out. I think that's a huge advantage.
Very huge.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything really comes down to self-confidence, self-esteem, because these are the things that motivate you to take action consistently.
Hmm.
You know, like someone who's not confident is going to be far less likely to take a risk or take an action or do something that may not work out, learn from it, bounce back. There are periods in my life where I myself struggled with confidence, and when I look back on these periods, they were some of the least productive periods of my life. Because on the contrary, when I'm feeling confident, I'm just marching forward. And if something doesn't work out, I brush it off and I keep going because I know things will eventually work out. You know, and I think that's something that's like there's all these YouTube videos on like how to believe in yourself and how to like and like a lot of these things like on yourself. And I think where faith can be really helpful is, well, don't worry, even if you suck, like something out there is helping you out, you know. So,
Something so much better than you, like you're such a flawed
yeah,
person, but something so magnificent is looking after you. And it just
I think yeah, I think it's good to be at least open to that idea. You don't have to believe in it, but I think being open to it is can have at least psychological benefits, in my opinion. You know.
so much psychological benefits. Like
Yeah.
I do not remember if there was any point in my life where I believed or doubted it. There might be like a couple of years, but there was always something, like I always believed something so much bigger is always taking care of me. Otherwise, so much in my life just doesn't make sense. Literally
Yeah,
doesn't make sense.
I
And
agree.
if you like obviously everybody in my family, most of them, other than my grandmother and few people, uh, whoever is not connected to spirituality or like anything, not connected to faith,
Hmm.
they are having a low period in their life. And it's just constant. And everybody who is connected to faith, like they're doing so much better in their life.
Yeah.
And every one of my siblings, they are not really into this faith, spirituality and anything, but I was, and I was considered that person who would always be like, in the puja ghar, which is like the worship room for us, and I will always be reading like religious books or anything, and or seeking just weird things, and they would think that is weird, but I am the most non-materialistic person in my family, but
Uh-huh.
yet I have the most materialistic thing. I have access to the most materialistic things. And it's
Yeah.
just like I'm rewarded with that, even though I seek
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah. I, I mean, we see that a lot. Like you hear that all the time. Things like if you want to receive, you have to give, or if you want to like, so I think people who are like too worried, too anxious, are probably just like sitting there thinking, draining a lot of thought energy on how am I gonna figure this out? How, but like not in a productive way, not in a okay, let's test the strategy, but more of like, is everything gonna be okay? Is everything gonna be okay? versus someone who's like, yeah, things will probably be okay. Let me just try this thing. And I think that's what's happening with you, where you're able to take that like first step in faith and just, and there's like the path reveals itself, you know?
True.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's a really good attitude. And obviously, if it's serving you, I would encourage you to keep doing it, you know?
It's serving me throughout my life, trust me. There has been so many times. I will just share a quick story. Uh,
Uh-huh.
no, I will share a different story. That
Okay.
there's something else, but I will give you parts of it.
Hmm.
You know I think you know it, but anyways. So basically, there was one period in my life where, so throughout my life, whenever I had any problem, I just asked and I was given. I literally
Uh-huh.
asked and I was given. And there was one point when one of my very close friend was in very big trouble. Oh, I will just say
Okay.
it. Like, so one of my ex was like literally in a very big financial trouble. And
Hmm.
I'm a very empathetic person. So I literally cannot see anybody in trouble. Like, and if I see like they're in big trouble and they're like mentally broken, like it will break my heart. And I would like to do something for them. And that day, I I had a statue of Shiva in my room, and I used to
Hmm.
treat it as like not as God, but as kind of my companion.
Right.
And at that day, I literally hugged it and I cried and I said, "You have given me everything. I didn't even have to ask. Whenever I was in trouble, you literally just gave it to me, and I'm so much grateful to you for that. But this person matters to me so much,
Hmm.
and I just cannot see him like this. You have to help him." It was just matters of hours,
Yeah.
and one of his friends just called him and uh, solved the matter.
Oh, wow. That's actually amazing. I hear many stories like that, honestly, and I love hearing things like that. You know.
It's
Um.
just makes you believe in so much more. Like the
Yeah. Yeah.
possibilities are endless. And have you heard that story about Sri Ramanujan? Like that
I've,
you know
which story?
yeah,
Which one specifically?
you know Sri Ramanujan, right?
I do not know. I might. Was he the? Was he in like based? Was he an Indian physicist in the UK, or am I thinking of someone
Teacher,
else?
mathematician.
Mathematician. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
And, okay.
So
Oh, so okay. Yeah. Yeah. It is who I'm thinking of.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that black hole person who
Right.
the theory and everything.
Right. Right. Right.
He was always asked that obviously he didn't had access to any of the theories. He just discovered theories and just written it down. Some of them were already discovered. He just didn't know it was discovered, and some of
Right.
them were like not discovered. And it's so many of them people scientists has still hasn't been able to figure this out, and they will. I
Right.
believe they will. So now they're just also solved a black hole problem with one of the theorems that he did. And he was asked like how it just comes to you. You just write it. You don't solve it, get ideas. You just write the formulas. And he said it comes to my dream. And
Yeah.
it comes to my dream, and sometimes it just comes to his intuition or something like. So every previously every Hindu family would have a Kuladevi, or like somebody like they would take as the, so not somebody, a deity they would take as their family goddess or
Uh-huh.
god. And he used to dream of that goddess, and that goddess will give him the formulas just like that. And think about that.
Wow. That's very
That
cool.
that just opens the possibility, so much possibility for dreams, on how much we have to discover about dreams and what's the meaning behind it, and how how is that possible, like why nobody bothers about it. Like a dream can give you formulas for black hole. Like literally that sentence is so weird.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you read, have you read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill?
No, it's just so like
It's a
whenever
cliche. It's a
yeah.
cliche. But it's an excellent book. I would strongly recommend people read it. There's a chapter on the subconscious mind, and he says that subconscious mind is like your human's connection with infinite intelligence. So like there's that part of your brain where dreams happen and where like ideas come from, and in there I think he makes the claim that that's like where you talk to the higher power. Like the insight comes to you through that. And I think it's pretty cool. I think it aligns perfectly with what you're talking about.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But
So I mean this is I think this is probably why I think it's very important to like control what you think about before you go to sleep, because I think that probably does have some sort of influence on your dreams, no? Or like on the things that come up when you wake up. Like I've noticed many times in my life, I don't think I've done it enough to like know for certain, but if I fall asleep like being anxious or worried or thinking about something like that I don't want and whatnot, and I just kind of go into sleep with that type of energy, very often I'd wake up also in a stressed state or kind of anxious or not. Because if I just think of what I want and that things will be okay and have the faith and fall asleep that way, I think I'm a lot more likely to wake up and be optimistic and have thought of dreamt of good things and have thought of good things while I was in my sleep. This is actually one area I think is very interesting. Uh, I'm hoping like neuroscience
hmm,
or we're able to look into it a bit more is the idea of like what your brain's doing while you're sleeping, and some of the old school like teachings like um, and that like what you think about and feel before you go to sleep will help manifest like things that you get in real life. I think there's some truth to that, at least from my experience. I think it would be really cool if we're able to kind of look into it a bit deeper.
hmm. I bet if somebody, not somebody, obviously some scientists, neuroscientists, if they try to try really hard, or like if they get funding and everything, um, to research about sleep on what our brain does after we go to sleep, I bet
Yeah,
they're going to discover something magnificent, which is going to be a big breakthrough in the next generation.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of active research on like like brain stuff in general, whether the neurology angle, the neuroscience angle, even the psychology angle. Some people will claim psychology is not a real science, uh, but I agree. I think the human brain is very little understood. Ideally, we spend more time um, thinking about it and figuring out. And honestly, that's one thing. Like I'm trying to do. Like one thing I'm doing that's a bit different than most people is, I mean, our company is still in its infancy. It's still less than a year old, really. Um, but we already have like a kind of research and development department, and I'm always looking for students or people who are willing to research things related to neuroscience or like at the interface of neuroscience, psychology, and engineering on things like how do we optimize like entrepreneurs psychologically, neurologically. What exactly are the variables that affect what? How do you make someone perform better consistently? And there's all sorts of research on that. But I really think that one thing I would really like to see um, in this kind of like information industry that's like very newly emerging is some companies, instead of like purely reinvesting in sales marketing, take a portion of that money and invest in like R&D of some sort that is relevant to your like offer, you know. Um, and some people already do that. Like obviously you want to provide the best service possible, so you're going to research what your clients need and you're going to improve things in that nature. But I think it would be really cool if we push beyond even that, you know.
Hmm. I think we should talk about how in the journey of entrepreneurship, and especially
Uh-huh.
if you're starting by your own. And I think now you and me
Yeah.
both have teams, so we are like well off right now. But when we started out, like we were just literally by our own, and we are doing so many things
Yeah.
by ourselves. And it was so frustrating. And it was like we felt
So lonely.
so lonely. Yes, we felt so
Yeah.
lonely.
Oh.
And it's so lonely. It's like it's terrible. It's a very terrible journey. It's you lose people. Lose so many people. People don't trust you anymore because you stop going out. You stop hanging out with people. You stop
Yeah.
taking care of yourself. Sometimes your mood is so bad that you say things that you don't mean, and then you lose relationships. But one thing, people who stick through that period, they're gems.
Yeah. I think it definitely helps to have other entrepreneur friends for sure. People who are in the trenches with you. That is very important. Without that, I don't see how anyone can keep going for a long enough period without losing their mind. You know?
I think that's true, very true. That's where like the masterminds comes into the play. And also
Yeah.
I think your offer has that part where like you literally select people that you think are good to be in that mastermind or that.
Yeah. 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 Like, I think this is something I learned from SpaceX is good engineers want to be around other good engineers. And if you cultivate a community of great engineers, you're going to
Mm,
attract the best engineers. And I think like one way to attract great clients is to have existing great clients that the new clients will be able to connect with. And obviously, the way to attract the great clients in the first place is to make your offer really good, really compelling, solve a real problem, whatnot. Um, but I think having a community element
mm,
is very, very, very important.
very-
Very important. And I think this is why like one-on-one coaching is extremely important because I'll be honest with you, like even for example when I was working with William, I mean he was very talented. I learned a lot of like tactical things from him, but more than 50% of what I gained from that relationship was just someone who's going through it with me, you know. Someone who I'm like, yeah, this happened, and he's like, yeah, okay, that's like that happens, you know. Um, I think that is worth more than 50% of like a good coaching pro. Like I think a great coach will not just give you pure answers and tactics. A great coach will make you feel like someone is there with you to make the journey worthwhile, you know?
yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Have you lost any friends in the process?
Like, yeah, so, you know, it's actually really funny. Not only did I like lose friends, I didn't like lose the good friends I had, but I think I just became like worse at interacting with people in the real world. So what happened is when I turned 23, like when I was 23 was when I moved back home, and that's when COVID happened, and that's when I started focusing on online things. Like I wrote my book the first year, and then my YouTube channel the second year, and then the business was the third year. So it was like 2.5, 3 years of basically being a bit isolated, more spending more time on the internet than I was in real life. No Instagram, no Facebook, none of that stuff. I was kind of just disconnected from society. And then I moved to Boston for a year last year, and I tried to engage with the real world and people. And I remember my first 2 months in Boston. Uh, I got invited to like a few parties with my friends,
Mm.
and then I remember like I almost like forgot how to deal with people in the real world because all the people I were talking to online were either other entrepreneurs, YouTubers, people who are like doing something. Like there was so much in common in almost every single person I've had, even on sales calls, that the conversation would always flow naturally towards like growth, self-improvement, business, like things of that nature. And like it would be deep and direct very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Versus what I realized when I went back to the real world is like with normal people, you have to go like very slow and you have to like be very shallow in the beginning and very like play a little dance. I I remember I was at this party in Boston, and the first two people I talked to, uh, one was a guy. He was like a software engineering student, a computer science student, and I kept telling him about um, the like a big opportunity for a piece of software that we could write that would like make a big difference in the type of thing I was doing. And I could tell that guy did not want to hear about it at all. Like all he wanted to do was just have a beer and enjoy the party, you know. And
Mm.
then I remember running into another girl who was like I think studying neuroscience or something like that. And I'm like, oh my God, like have you worked on this? Have you worked on that? Have you worked on that? And she didn't know what I was talking about at all. And I realized, okay, again, like these people like literally just want to come in and not talk about school, not talk about work, just versus people like us, I think that, like that's all we want to talk about, you
That's
know.
all we talk about, literally.
It's
Uh,
all we want to talk about, you know. So it's very hard to get like integrated back in
very
society.
hard. It's very hard to talk to people and find people that will make you normal. And
Yeah.
I don't think we are not abnormal or saying you
No,
can.
it's not that we're abnormal. Is that like, from my observation, majority of the people in the real world, like I think entrepreneurs are very direct and straightforward and like, okay, this is what I like. This is what I like. Cool. Let's work on it. Let's like. Versus, I think people in the real world need some like warming up period. They need to like, hey, how's it going? Oh, what's your favorite color? I'm not saying everyone, but what I've noticed is it can be very hard for like once you kind of go really deep into like working on things that you enjoy around people who are also working on things that like they're deeply obsessed with. Going back out in the real world and having like normal interactions, I think can be a bit difficult. But that was just my experience, you know.
It's a bit difficult, but I will also not like demean that fact. I would say that it's once you get to enjoy that part of being normal, then it's fun. So if you like,
Yeah,
the best scenario will be if you can balance your entrepreneurship, you're doing your work, and then you are also like at the end of the day you are able to be normal, like then your life is like
yeah, I agree.
on the cloud nine. But it's very hard to handle that. Like you really need those friends. Like fortunately I have some, which I'm really fortunate I have. They make me feel normal, they make me normal forcefully, and I'm so glad they are there. That's why I'm sane. Otherwise, you know me, how like I'm always focused about
Right,
work, 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 work. And if I didn't have those people, I would be very pathetic and
I
terrible.
agree. Yeah, I agree. I think it's very important to have family and friends to support you, and they don't have to know what you're doing, but yeah, I think it's nice to have that for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's very important.
And everything has seasons. Like you will have season where you just have to focus and just have to
I
work.
agree. I
And
agree.
if I
I
didn't
agree.
have that season, if I didn't focus on work that much, I wouldn't be able to relax right now.
I
So much,
agree.
so many of my friends are like worried right now what to do with their career and what to do, how to start. And like I'm so much sorted. Like sometimes I just pray and say, thank you. I'm really glad where I am and I'm really happy.
Yeah, yeah, I think. Well, would you say you're more introverted or extroverted as a person?
Oh, I am mostly introverted, but I'm extra extroverted for my inner circle which only has 3 people.
Okay, I see. So like once you open up to people, then you really enjoy being around people and feel energized around them.
Yeah.
But your default tendency is to kind of not go out there and interact with too many people.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. I think that's another thing that's not really spoken about. Like introverts dominate the online like business arena, in my opinion,
Mm,
because you're perfectly happy being on a laptop by yourself all day, versus someone who's extroverted. You need other people. You need to engage with other people. You need to talk to other people. And I
yeah.
think sales calls like can help with that to an extent. But I think you still need some real world like interaction with other people. Otherwise, you can get really depressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much that goes into it, like personality and what you like. Being a human is a very complicated thing.
Yeah, it's very complicated, but you can also make it fun. You
Yeah, I mean, like you,
eventually make it fun. Like if you eventually learn to make it fun, and if you do not, then that depression, other things, anxiety comes in. And one more thing is like once I got into this, like most of my clients one point of time were like life coaches, mindset coaches, and
Mhm.
I became really weak working with them, which is like really weird. Like initially I was feeling really good, whatever I was saying they were like very supportive, and like I constantly I had therapists around me or like coaches around me always coaching me. I felt so good at the very beginning, but eventually I started seeing it is making me feel weak, that oh,
Mhm.
this went wrong, it's not your fault, this went wrong, it's not your fault.
Yeah.
But what I needed to hear, and I where I got frustrated, that I know it's my fault, I didn't do it, I
Yeah.
didn't take responsibility. It is my fault. I have to do it. And if I don't do it, my life will be even more miserable. And still, that time you would say, it is not my fault. But I want to say it is my fault so I can make it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's this quote by Mark Manson, guy who wrote Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. It's a good book and good, great author. He says, not everything, I don't know if it's someone else may have said it before him, but he strongly emphasizes this idea. He says, not everything may be your fault, but everything is your responsibility.
Hmm.
And the example he gives is if someone leaves a baby at the door, like of your house, you didn't choose that, but now there's a baby that's starving. Like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna pick it up and feed it and figure out what to do with it, or are you just gonna let it die? And I think that's a healthy attitude to have in life, where like things happen to you. Some of it you didn't choose. Some of it you chose and you messed up. But in all cases, you're like 100% responsible for everything that comes your way. Otherwise, the alternative is you just ignore it and it like grows in the back, and then you have to deal with it later.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah, but I think that's good. I think that attitude has probably served you a lot, treating things. There are people who will tell you like things to make you feel good, and
yeah.
there are people, and I think again in relationships, a very simple example is like, let's say you're talking to a girl or you're talking to a guy, and you're interested in that person, and you do something stupid or you hurt them or you mess up. Like a bad friend will say things like, oh, like it's their loss, like you're so great, they will never find someone like you. Like, yes, that does make you feel better in the moment, and there are times for that, but I think a really good friend will say, you messed that up big time, don't move on until you really think about what happened there and learn from it so you don't repeat it again. And it's not fun to hear that, or it's not fun to say that, but that's what's actually going to help you improve and do better in the next situation and whatnot. So I really think great friends will call you out on your bullshit. And this is something I read from people who make a lot of money, in that the more money you make, the nicer people become to you, right? So the only real way of telling who's a true friend once you get to that level of wealth is the people who still hold strong boundaries with you and still say, you fucked that up big time. you better go work on it because they don't really like need anything from you, you know?
Yeah. And having good friends and like genuine friends is so much important. So,
Yeah,
I will tell you one thing. So when I went to that zone of not talking to anyone and only working,
yeah, it's not
uh,
good.
it's not good, obviously. But the thing
Mhm.
is, my college friends, uh I like we didn't stop talking, but we were like going out a lot, but then we just suddenly like only I was the person who just became left out from the group and just focused on work. And it went like that for 2 years, something around that.
Mhm.
And there was a very bad moment last year. Like, I think I explained what happened last year or to you. But the thing is,
Mhm.
last year was really bad for me. And at the end of it, when I just cannot keep up with it, my friends said, let's do a trip. And I'm so fortunate. I went to that trip. It just changed my
Yeah.
attitude towards life. And it's just like, that's just one incident, less one incident. And I have like my best friend, uh, I'd say him my best friend, but we hardly spoke for like years.
Mhm.
We met in like when I was in my 11th standard, and like we just connected. Like I didn't like him as a person because he was like literally good looking, and all of the girls will be like surrounding him, and
Right, right.
I don't like those people who enjoy that kind of attention. But he did. But eventually, we had to go on. We had to study together for an exam and everything, and that's how we got to know each other, and we just clicked. And then when
Mhm.
I went to college, we went to a different college, and just stopped talking. And we felt really bad because initially it was like we didn't have any new friends and everything. But then eventually we stopped talking because we had more friends. But a very strange thing happens all the time. Like after 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, even a year, he would just feel bad that we haven't spoke for a while, and within 2 or 3 days I will call him, and he would just forget and forgive me that I didn't call him and did not text.
Right, right.
And we would just be on the same page, and that's a really unique bond that
Yeah.
you can stop talking to someone, and then suddenly you come back and you still have the same bond.
Yeah, I agree.
It's it
I agree. I
so
think that's one of the most like enjoyable experiences in life, like deeply connecting with another fellow human being, you know?
I'm so much happy that we are finally again talking every day. But I don't know if it's going to stop. But even if it does, I know that he will still remember me and I will still call him back.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's this is if things are good and you're enjoying it and they're enjoying it as well, I don't see a reason for it to stop, you know.
Okay. Uh, so far, I think I enjoyed the conversation. I really
Hmm.
do not have anything else. Should we talk about anything else?
Um, let's talk about let's end with one quick thing, and then I do have to run in 7 minutes. But there's one thing. If I were to ask you one thing, oh well, I would say I think if we each were to pick one piece of advice to give to someone just like starting out in business or are in the early stages or they still haven't put together their offer or anything like that, what would be like one, if you were to tell them one thing, what would it be?
Go all in on this, but prepare your friends to not lose you.
Okay, that's a really good one.
Just make a point where you can still come back to them, they can still take you back.
Yeah, 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 I agree. I think that's a good idea.
You have to focus, you have to leave everything, you have to focus, like go all in to build that
Yeah,
initial period of your business, initial period of your career. But communicate that to your friends and make sure you can come back to them, because when you have everything, you have made all the money,
Yeah,
you have
so
got to
true.
that goal, that 20K, 30K goals, and then you went there and then you don't know what's next. That's just so bad.
Yeah, that gave me like chills, like thinking about you're very rich and wealthy, but you have no friends and no family. That's I think that's even lonelier than being poor with no friends and no family.
That's very clear. And like, and now every new friends that you will make is is for the money. It's 100% for the money.
Like yeah, yeah. If that's how they're meeting you the first time.
That's how they're meeting in the first
Yeah.
time. But people who were with you and then like, and even if you have the money, still would make fun of you. Those are the real friends.
Yeah, I agree. That's a really good way to put it.
What's your?
Um, I would say try your best to find like-minded people. Join communities, join free Facebook groups, go on Facebook, YouTube comments of people watching the same stuff. Find like one or two or three people that are trying to do what you're doing,
Hmm.
and if you find them, it makes the journey like more fun. You know,
Yeah.
I think this is true for my engineering career, as well as YouTube, as well as business, as well as like any area of my life. Uh, the moment thing, most of the growth happened when I ran into someone who was equally obsessive, and we would both, because that level of accountability from someone who's equally obsessed as you, I think that is priceless. That can drive things so much faster. So if you're still starting out, you're uncertain, find someone else who's also like starting out uncertain, or maybe one step ahead or one step behind, and just obsess. You know, get on calls, go on Discord, do whatever, go on Xbox party, live parties. Just do all you can to bounce ideas off of someone. I think that will make you go very far.
Yeah. It just did it worked for us, so it will work for
I
you.
agree. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, cool.
Well, I think we are at the end of the podcast that we haven't decided the name for yet,
Yeah,
but
we'll figure it out.
we'll figure it out. It was a good.
I think yeah we'll figure it. That little details can always be figured out. I think what matters is a really I think it was a really fun conversation. It was very genuine and authentic. So I think yeah it was really fun. Thank you for having me.